back, FlossTube. So we are on week 3 of Lori Holt's Quilters Cottage Stitch Along. The first week we made the fence. The second week we made the alphabet. And so I've got videos on those if you want to check back on those if you have any questions. And this week we're going to be working on the fence post, the clothesline, and block 1. So we're going to start that in a little bit, and I'm going to be focusing today on backstitching and giving you tips on backstitching. But before that, I have something totally exciting to show you. Lori Holt loves to always show different stuff and taking existing product and changing it up a bit. So if you remember, the very first cross stitch she came out with is called Farm Girl. Happy Farm Girl. So this is stitched on 14 count with DMC thread, and I am the one who stitched this. So this is a little lower, sorry. So this is in my office, and this is how her original looked. And she thought, well, what if, because when that came out, we didn't have the vintage cloth, which is the 10 count. So she said, well, what would it look like in 10 count, and let's make a pillow out of it. So Shelby made this really cool, she did, it's the exact same thing. She used DMC, she just put it on different cloth, and then Lori turned it into this beautiful pillow. So showing you this, basically I'll show you the original pattern. So this is the pattern. And then of course we've got the Aurifil and DMC thread packs. We also have her burlap cloth, which is what we stitched on. And then we've got the Aurifloss box, and she uses this in all of her cross stitches. So this is now back in stock. So yay! Back in stock. So I just wanted to show you that because it's totally fun, and we have all the information. If you have any questions on this and how we did this, it's on our blog, which is at Fat Quarter Shop. So I think it's really cute. It uses a 22-inch pillow, and so it's going to look super cute on Shelby's couch. I've never seen her couch, but I'm sure it's going to look cute on her couch. So I'm going to go ahead and get into stitching, and I'm just going to show some back stitching and talk about a couple things that I did, and then I've got a lot of questions to cover at the end. So this is the pattern we're working on, Quilters Cottage. It is written by It's So Emma, which is my company, and it's designed by Lori Holt, and everything's in color, so really easy to follow. So I'm going to just turn around and start talking through what I'm going to do.
I'm going to slowly zoom in. I might need you to scooch to your right, so we might need to move the... Yes, thank you.
There we go.
Okay.
Can you give me a pillow? Oh, I'll use this.
You got it? Oh.
I'll use this pillow. Okay. So I wanted to show you guys the first thing that I did, and I wanted to apologize because y'all were totally right. Last week I did the M in the wrong spot, but that was just last week. I was just having one of those weeks, so that fit in perfectly with my crazy week. So after I finished the alphabet, I went ahead and did these little fence posts. I did all 6 of them because that way I would have like a guide of where I was going. And then what I did is I did all the white. Anytime I'm doing white within a section, I always do the white first and then the darker colors. After I did the white, then I did the aqua all the way around, and then as you can see, I'm just filling in the colors. And I've shown you guys some tips, but what I'm doing is I'm stitching from the top row to the next row to the next row, so I'm going top to bottom, using all the same tips as before. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you back stitching today. We're going to focus on that. So the back stitch goes 1 stitch from the top. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take off my Q-snap so that I can dig my thread in the back. To take off my Q-snap, I just pull my fabric off. And I want to hide my thread in here. So I'm just going to pull it through. I don't like my tail, I don't like my tail to stay out like this. That drives me crazy. A ton of people don't mind, so totally up to you, totally personal preference. You should stitch and do whatever you enjoy. Then I'm going to go back through again, just in a little bit different. Pull it just so it's secure. And the way that I'll know it's secure is if you tug it and it doesn't pull out, then you've got it secure. And I usually, if I was just doing a cross stitch, I would not start this way because I would just cover my stitches. Now if you're doing a back stitch, it's much harder to cover your stitches, so that's why I'm doing it that way. So I'm going to put the edge of my Q-snap back on. And when I do that, I do not put my Q-snap on top of my stitches because I just can't do that. So put it on the edge, and to tighten it, I just pull it a little bit. So I've got the end secured. And hopefully today I'm going to stitch in the right holes. Like, it was kind of funny last week when that happened, but kind of embarrassing. So when I backstitch, I always do it this way. I go from right to left, right to left, right to left. So I'm going to go right to left. And then right. Now on Lori's pattern, anytime you have any kind of pattern, it should tell you how many strands of floss to use when you do a back stitch. Sometimes it's one, sometimes it's more. On Lori's, she's using, if you use Aurifloss, 6 strands, and if you're using DMC, 4 strands. And so basically she's using the same number of threads that you would for your cross stitch on your back stitch. And when I'm pulling my stitches in, I try not to pull too taut. Like if I show you, if I go tight, you can see how that made that kind of ugly. So I try, especially when I'm doing back stitch, I do try to pay attention to my tension a little bit more just by not pulling too tight. I don't think it's as noticeable on your cross stitches, but just try not to pull too tight. And then you're just going to keep going all the way across. And if you were to do it like left, right, right, left, like start going in different, instead of just right, left, your stitches will not be as even. So that is the reason that I am doing right, left, right, left. I guess technically if you were left-handed, you could go left, right, which is totally fine. It's just you don't want to start alternating directions because it will not show up as even. And I like how this looks really nice and even. So the back stitch is a lot easier than I think that people think. It's just, it does take a little bit. I feel like you have to be a little bit slower so that you don't pull too tight or anything. And I'm like double checking myself to make sure I'm on the right part of my pattern. So do you guys have any questions on back stitching at all? Oops. Okay, so now I've got a knot, of course. So I just do this with my fingers, and if it doesn't work, I just put my needle in there and kind of finagle it. And so when I have that happen, that means that my thread is probably twisting. So I just kind of hold and straighten my thread by pulling down before I keep going.
We've got a few questions.
Okay.
Sia Joy says, good morning ladies, why not just do the loop method?
Oh, you definitely could do the loop method on this. I just didn't. On the Aurifloss, when you're using 6 strands, I just didn't feel like dividing it in half this morning, so I didn't, but you totally could. I did it on the letters, and the reason I really did it on the letters is red will really show up, so I wanted to have as few loose ends as possible, but the white, I have no concerns about the white showing through this gray, so I think the reason I chose it was just, I guess, just maybe kind of the mood I was in, and then also just the thread color, so that would be the reason why. And sometimes I do the loop, sometimes I don't. It just I kind of just go with whatever I'm feeling at that moment.
And then Delinda was asking, did you use DJ Red on your letters?
I used,
Okay.
So on my letters, I use what was called for, which is 5002. And you can see that my spool is almost out, so I'm gonna have to order me another one.
And then Gabriel Fuentes was asking, where did you get that piggy needle holder?
Okay, so Denise, who is super awesome, made it for me. So I don't know if you guys remember, but in one of my previous videos, one of my first live streams, I had Cecile at Just Another Button Company. Well, I begged her to make these for me. So she made me a lot of buttons, and we went to Home Depot, we meaning Denise, and she made me this really cool needle mender to keep my needle on, which is really cool. And if you guys like that kind of thing, we could do a video on it, on how to do it. So you'll just have to let me know if that's something that y'all are interested in. But yeah, super cute, and I'm sure Cecile is going to love it when she sees it. So now I'm trying to talk Denise into making me like 5 more because I have like 5 whips in progress. So, but it was super easy.
Cool. And then we have some questions not related to backstitching. Susan was asking, any more oatmeal cloth available?
Okay, so oatmeal will be available in March or April. They are producing it. It is made in Germany, and Zweigart, who is the company that makes it for Riley Blake, is working on it. And they're hoping it comes at the end of February. And when it comes, Riley Blake has to cut it down and package it. So I'm guessing March is my best guess, but I'm waiting for it too. I love it. But right now we do have the burlap, which is this brown color, and we have daisy, which is white, and we have some really cool stuff planned with both of those. But yes, we do have oatmeal coming.
Okay. And then, well, Lisa Sweet says, Kim, your hair looks so good.
Oh, thanks.
And then Diona says, you're teasing us by wearing that t-shirt again.
So the t-shirt is going to come in stock today. We're picking them up at noon, and then when we get them, we have to bring them and then you know, just count, see if what they produced is what we ordered, and then we'll have those live later today. And then also the Eat Sleep Quilt Eat Sleep Quilt shirts that Lori made a couple years ago, those were out of stock, and we're having those reprinted, and we'll have those back in stock in about a week.
Yay. And then Trisha on Facebook was asking, how would you use linen for this pattern? I've never cross-stitched, but I really like the look of linen.
So I'm going to talk about that. I guess we can talk about that now, actually. So let me just kind of get a stopping point. So I'm gonna...
Can you zoom out?
No.
Okay.
So this here is made... Yeah, I guess zoom out just a little bit. This is made by Terry, who works in customer service. So this is, she used DMC Even Weave 28 count. And so this is how she keeps her thread. I'm not sure if this is, I think she's using DMC based on what it looks like. So I'm gonna show you. Okay, now you can zoom in.
Okay.
So zoom in like super tight. So linen or even weave or Laguna, or I don't even know how you say it. It's over 2, and we've had a lot of questions on it. Zoom in a little bit more.
That's as far as I can go.
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
So like, if you, okay.
I can come closer too. Here.
Oh, sorry.
That was my bad. Sorry guys, we got stuff in here.
Yeah, we got a lot of stuff.
Okay.
So over Ada, it's over 1 square, but you can see these are over 2 squares. So you have to stitch, like, you have to come up in one corner and then come back over. So you stitch over 2. You stitch over 2 squares. So when you see on a pattern, for example, she's probably using 2 threads over 2, which means This is a tighter count, so she's using 2 threads of DMC. That's the first 2. The second 2 means over 2 squares. So you can see how there's 2 squares here. It is, this is more advanced. This is more, I would say, more popular. This is what you would see in most cross-stitch stores. Very intricate, detailed things. I love Ada, but this is how you would do linen. And this is an even weave, which means the number of squares is even on each side, or the type of thread is even. So this would be how this would look on a linen. And we have a link in the descriptions of the color that she used. So she's using the same colors that, the same threads that Lori called for, but a lighter background. And Terry and Cheryl, who work in customer service, love to work with linen. An even weave, it's a more, I guess, advanced, and that's kind of what they like. And if you were working on this, you would need a size 26 needle instead of a size 24 needle. So there's that, and then I'm going to go ahead and then turn around and I'm going to go through other questions that people have, because I have a big old list of questions from this week.
I'm sorry, the zoom out takes a second, guys.
Oh, totally. So I wanted to show you guys, we have this tote bag from Sherry and Chelsea. It's called the Walkabout Tote Bag, and inside of it fits perfectly the 11 by 11 Q-snap. So I've been storing my stuff in here. So if you're looking for a bag that fits it perfectly, and you can see I just it kind of just, I don't know, wrinkles up. So I have like 3 of these in my car, and it snaps. And then the only thing that I would say about that is I can never tell what the difference in the 3 is, because I've got so many things going on. So I think that's kind of a cool thing. So I'm going to just kind of go through some of the questions, and then we can obviously go through more questions. I'm just going to make sure I touch the ones that were asked on Facebook. The first one is, oh, well, the first thing I wanted to say was we are going to do a poll. We are getting the DMC full collection in stock, and I'm wondering if we're going to put together some thread packs. So would you rather see thread packs that are seasonal? For example, red, green, white for Christmas, or would you rather see packs by color, so a range of pinks or a range of greens? So we really would love to know what you guys are looking for before we put those together. And if you go in the top right corner of the video, there is the poll.
It's on YouTube only.
On YouTube only, so
you have to go there. It's the little eye icon.
And we're going to be looking at those results probably Monday and just kind of start putting our selections together. So for questions, Lori Bernard is asking, what's the difference between embroidery and cross stitch? So embroidery is more on a fabric. We're going to grab one. I forgot. We're going to grab one. So cross stitch is on gridded fabric, so there's specific holes that you go into, and that whether that be Ada cloth or linen cloth, like you just saw both. Embroidery is honestly just a flat fabric, and you draw your design on it, and then you do embroidery type stitches, which are different. So we're gonna bring one in just so you can see it. Cindy Krell asks, what's the difference between Aura Floss and DMC and the number of strands and thickness? So, okay, perfect. Oh my gosh, this is so cute. So this is embroidery. And you can see it's on there's no holes in the fabric. And you can see how oh my gosh, look how pretty that back is. She covered it up with a fabric. So embroidery uses specialty stitches and is on a flat fabric, and you draw on it and then you stitch on top of it. So similar but very different. I don't embroider. So let's show DMC. I'm going to just kind of show you in person the difference in the thickness between the DMC and the Aura Floss. So these are Lori's Beekeeper flowers. This is what Denise is using to make hers. And I'm going to just pull a little bit of DMC off and cut it.
Also, real quick, we have 3 new members that have joined during the live stream. April Buckland, Michelle M, and JDJ. Welcome, everyone. And we will be posting a coupon this week.
Yes, coupon today, later today. So, can you zoom in a little bit?
Yes.
So on this side, I'm not going to say left and right because it's opposite. So this is our floss, and this is DMC. DMC is slightly thicker. So because it's thicker, you use less strands. Now again, just like anything else, whether it be quilting, sewing, making bags, do whatever works best for you. So it's just a slightly different, they're both embroidery floss. The colors will be slightly different and the texture is slightly different. One of the other questions that we have received a lot of is, could you mix Aura Floss and DMC? And my answer is going to be, me, I would not. But most people would. If you watch, I watch a ton of FlossTubers. A lot of people mix DMC with specialty threads, DMC with, I mean, it really is just what your personal preference is. I am so OCD about stuff, and I can't stand like texture differences, and that's just my personality, but I would say 90% of people would. So it's all personal preference. And again, you could always go in the corner of your cloth and do a little stitch and, you know, maybe put some DMC stitches and some Aura Floss and see how you think you like it and do whatever works best for you. We also got a question on how to take off a Q-snap. So they do loosen up as you use them, and I've probably had this one for probably 5 years. I have a bunch of them. I put my thumb, maybe, can you see?
Yes.
So I just kind of put my thumb, I guess like that, maybe, yeah, and just pull the, well, of course it's not going to work when but I just pop it off with the fabric. I just pull the fabric. It's of course not working like it does, but I just pop it off. So we've had some people that they're scared they're going to mess up the fabric, and I move this all the time, so I don't think you're going to mess the fabric up. You just pull it off. So that was a question. That was actually a couple of people asked that. Let's see. Becca Britton, can you explain the 2/2 method? I'm so confused. So 2/2 is like the linen. So if you have 28 count, you would divide 28 divided by 2, that's 14. So if your pattern calls for 28 count linen, but you want to use Aida, 28 is the same thing as 14, 30 is the same thing as 15, and 32 is the same thing as 16. And it says, I ordered the Country Cottage Needleworks, Cottage of the Month, and need help on where to start. Thank you, and thanks for being you. You rock. I'm loving cross stitch. So thank you. That makes me feel really good. On the Country Cottage Needleworks, I'm actually stitching the cottages. I'm going to show you that next week. And I am using 14 count and Aida and the DMCs that it's called for, because I don't use hand-dyed threads. It's just personal preference, but I can definitely go over that next week. How close to the edge would you do a zigzag stitch? So that's from Gabriel. So if you get too close to the edge, sometimes your machine will do something ugly like this. So if you go in further, it's going to catch less. And people were asking, like, how big do you make your zigzag? I literally just like threw this on the machine, and whatever my baby lock was set at, I just went for it. I don't think it even matters. It's really just to prevent fraying. And this can be as ugly as you want it to be, which mine is atrocious. So I don't even think it matters. Like, you can see how ugly this is. Like, I don't even care. So I don't think it matters. Most of the time, I'm going to be honest, most of the time I use masking tape because I don't want to, I'm lazy. I don't want to do that. Let's see. So those are those questions. I've got a few more. Okay, I would like more information from Bonnie Nyquist on the gridding process. So this is Easy Count Guideline that we sell. I'm going to go ahead and go over this in 2 weeks. I just got this question this morning, and so I'm very familiar with gridding. I know a lot about it. but I need time to kind of get together a sample. But I'm going to cover this in 2 weeks, and I'm going to give you my honest thoughts on kind of why people do it, the type of projects it might be better with versus maybe not needed with, and we're going to go over that in 2 weeks so that I can give you a very detailed, correct answer instead of just throwing something together in the last 30 minutes. Will Kimberly show us how to backstitch? So yay, I did that. So those are the questions that I had. So let's answer some more questions.
Yes. First of all, people are wondering about the poll. Sorry.
Okay.
I'm trying to get close to the mic. It's the little eye in the top right corner. Let me see if I can... Right around here somewhere, guys. It's going to be right there. And then... Okay. Julie C. really wants to know when we will have another video with Gina Tell.
Okay, so I don't know the exact answer. I know that we're going to be doing a beginner video series, and we are going to be showing how I would do a straight line, straight line on my machine, and then we're going to have her take that same exact quilt and show how she can free motion it on her home machine. That's going to be in a little bit, but I mean, the next time I'm out of town, she is good to go, I'm sure. I haven't even asked her, guys. I'm just like totally signing her up. But yes, I love Gina, and it's so helpful if I go out of town with my kids or Lily's out of town. So like when I'm on spring break, hey Gina, do you want to do that? So I mean, she might be out of town. She's got a son too. So yeah, as soon as we can like fill her in, we're good to go.
Mm-hmm. And
we're just signing her up. We didn't even ask her.
Go Gina. And oh, could you hold the two pillows you showed earlier next to each other?
Okay. So this is the pillow, and this is what is hanging on the wall. So you can see the back.
Hold them a little lower, please.
Okay, sorry.
No, you're good.
So this one is 10 count burlap. This is 14 count Fiddler's Ada cloth by Charles Craft. And they both use DMC thread. This one uses 6 threads, and this one uses 2 threads.
And then Lisa Sweets was saying, Kim, did you watch Dark Minds about Israel Keys?
No, I couldn't find it. It's not on Netflix. I couldn't find it, so I don't know.
So
maybe I'm
direct us, yeah.
Yeah, I need to figure out. I couldn't find it on Netflix, but yeah, I was all over that. So I just email me where to find it. And I am like so Netflixed out. Like, hello, whoever runs Netflix, I need some more true crime, and I don't want a series. I want a docu-series. I don't want anything fake. I don't want actors. I want real stuff. I'm like, I have read everything. I have listened to every podcast. I'm like so out of content right now that I'm just like dying. Like, I've watched every Snapped episode, every Joe Kenda episode. I mean, I'm like out of content. And I've watched every FlossTube, so I'm just like, I need some content.
And then Sharon on Facebook was asking, what do you have on your lap to support your stitching?
So a lot of times I will use a design board or a pillow. So whatever I've got. So if I'm at home, I have some gray pillows, I will use this. If I'm maybe in the office, I use a design board, or which are Lori Holt's design boards that we sell. Just something flat. So that I can put stuff on my lap, you know, like if I need to do something, I can just set it on my lap. So just something, anything, pillow, design board, anything, so that if I put it on my lap, it doesn't like go off.
Okay, Kia B is asking, is there a cross stitch monthly club?
No, but we are working on that. So, good idea.
Ooh, great minds. And then Katrina E says, is there a bag that fits the 11x17 Q snaps like the green one?
So, oh, the zipper bag, no. So what I do, oh, yeah, it's in my car. Sorry, I have a pillowcase that I put my 11x17 in, and it's really big. It's like a king pillowcase. Sweetwater actually made my kids some pillowcases with their names on it. And I'm using, it's now after Christmas, so they're not on their bed, so I'm using that. And I was thinking we might like do some custom ones that say Kimberly Stitch Squad. It's in the back of my car. which is also one thing that we're going to be talking about next week, is like all the things like that we're working on. So next week you can see like how I really store stuff, because I literally just walk in here with like my bag of tricks and just like it's not, none of this is like set up perfectly. It's just like, here's my bag of tricks, I'm going to show you what I do.
And Lisa Sweet says the Dark Minds thing is on YouTube.
YouTube, okay, so I'll get on that. And then one other thing that I was going to mention that I haven't mentioned is when I stitch, oh, there is one more question. When I stitch, I don't ever wear rings. So you might notice in my quilting videos, I usually have a ring on. And if y'all want to know the deep truth, I wear my wedding ring on Fridays when I do the live stream, or when I do videos. I never wear my wedding ring otherwise. And one of the reasons why is just I don't want it in my way. So sometimes when I'm at dinner and like I have all these kids, like I'm like, I wonder if the waitress is like, are these people married? They have all these kids. So that's my joke of the day. I do have another question. Okay, somebody asked, how do I move from one row to the next using the same color floss without the previous stitching coming undone? So that is Kathleen, and she is stitching from the bottom to the top. And what that means is when she stitches, that last hole, if you stitch back in it, it's going to come back out. That's why I usually stitch from the top to the bottom. So if you try going from top to bottom, you won't have that, instead of bottom to top. So I'm going to go ahead and talk about the next 2 weeks, and then I'll answer the rest of the questions. Okay. So kind of like our plans for the next couple of weeks. First, I wanted to say we're going to Nashville Needlework Market, and so we're going to be looking at new cross stitch, coming up with ideas for what Kia B just asked about, just kind of how can we do this creatively and originally. Never do I do anything at Fat Quarter Shop that is just like cookie cutter. I don't want to be a mass marketer who just dumps everybody's product on my site. That's not what I'm about. I want to pick what I like and sell what I like. So we'll be going to that. Next week we are going to be showing this block 2. So if you want to get ahead, it would be go ahead and put in your white. Start with your white. I might go ahead and put in my white here and my white here, and then we'll just fill it in. I also wanted to say thank you to Crystal Ekman. You are our Facebook winner for hashtagging Quilters, Cottage, Stitch Along. And so we've already contacted you this morning with your $50 gift certificate, and make sure as you're sewing along to hashtag Quilters, Cottage, Stitch Along so that you can win. Every week we're doing a $50 gift certificate. Next week I'm going to be showing how to stitch in hand. If you want to see that before next week, Priscilla and Chelsea of the Real Housewives of Cross Stitch did a video on that. I'm gonna do kind of my version of that. The one thing that I will say is when I watched their video, I was like, oh my gosh, I am the slowest cross stitcher there ever was. So I'll show you how you can stitch in hand and be faster, and I'll show you kind of when I would do it versus when I wouldn't, because that's not a technique that I feel that I could do all the time. So we're going to go over that next week. I'm also going to show you my whips. So I have had a lot of things at the framers. I'm going to be picking those up today or tomorrow. I'm going to show you lots of kits that we have coming up, and just lots of things that I'm working on that we're not kidding. So I'll have some stuff that's framed, some stuff that's in process, and some stuff that's ready to be framed. And I think that y'all are going to really enjoy that. I'm a little nervous because, I don't know, I'm just kind of nervous about showing you guys everything. And then in 2 weeks, we're going to be going over the gridding. And then that week, we're also going to be talking about Nashville Needle Market also. And we'll do a live stream from there also. So I'm happy to answer any other questions you have. I feel like I had a ton of content today, and I hope I did not overwhelm you guys.
You're good. We got a ton of questions. Crystal John says, I've been stitching a long time but have not heard about the loop method. What is that?
So we went over that last week, right?
Yeah.
So so just go back to week 2 of the Quilters Cottage Stitch Along. So I would just go back to week 2.
Yeah. On FlossTube, it's our FlossTube. It's FlossTube number 12, if you're curious. And then, okay. Deb Barry says, will you be selling the 28 count linen IC25 on your website?
IC25.
Oh, she sees that we have 25 on our website. But will we be selling 28 count linen?
Sure.
Is that a crazy question?
We're going to look into that, and we'll get some in stock, yes. Yes, and kind of what we're focusing on right now is pre-packaged. And then we will be getting into, based on how things sell, we'll be buying our own bolts and custom packaging things also.
Oh, yes, we have it. It's the even weave.
Yes, even weave. So even weave linen.
Cool. And then Charlotte Naves had a suggestion on YouTube. She says a hang tag might work well on your bags.
Oh, that's a great idea. Yeah.
Thanks for the suggestion.
Yes.
And then Kia B was also asking, do you have an update on the Yeti and when that will be available?
Yes. It's coming March 27th, I think. Y'all, isn't it March 27th? They told me a date.
It's in March.
It's in March. So basically we paid for them. I only ordered 120, guys, and they're super expensive. Like the cost of them is like the cost of what you would buy them in the store. So they're super expensive for us. So we only bought 120 just because I'm not really sure if people are going to pay for them because I have to make a little bit of money. So we're not even really going to be making very much money on them. So I ordered 120. I think they told me March 27th. I have a lot of data in my head, so I could be totally getting something else mixed up with it. February 27th. I'm a month off.
Oh,
so soon. So yeah, yes.
That ship date.
Okay.
And they're in Austin, so we probably will just pick them up.
Yeah. Deb Berry says, I have DMC floss over 20 years old. It was packed in a storage case. Do you think it's still usable?
Probably.
Yeah. I would give it a shot.
Yeah. I know a lot of people, if you look at like thrifting, and a lot of people will find big stashes of DMC in estate sales, and people use it all the time, and I see that all the time on like Reddit. I'm a big Reddit person. I've never heard anybody on Reddit say they bought something at an estate sale and it didn't work, so I'm all for that. I'm all for thrifting and all that.
Oh, okay. Sorry. We're trying to sort through all the questions. Okay. Jennifer on YouTube's asking, hi Kimberly, why do you always start with white thread? Does it make it look better?
Okay, so I start with white because if you do for example, if you're looking at this and you do the red and then you do the white, sometimes I feel like the red thread might go into the white thread. This is something that I kind of came up with. It's not something that I read anywhere, because some people do the opposite. I watch a lot of floss tubers, and some floss tubers will stitch from the bottom up, and I stitch from the top down. So just like anything else, do whatever works for you. But I just feel like also the stitch that you do last is going to stand out a little bit more, just because of the way that it works. And I just always do the light first, because I don't want those dark threads getting into my white if I did my white after. So it's really just a personal preference that I came up with years ago. And that's the great thing about floss tubes or anything that you're doing with a craft, is doing it how, doing it organically, how you think will work best. Because I watch a lot of floss tubes that do things totally different than me, and I like that. I like to listen to why, but I still just do it the way that works for me. So you don't have to do the white first.
Okay. And then Grape Sky Studio says, will there ever be patterns printed on the cloth? I'm terrible at counting.
So there is a thing called stamped cross stitch that is on regular cloth, and you just stitch on top of it. I've never done it. It's more of a chain store type thing that you can find in a chain store. So if you went into a chain store, you could find something like that. It would never be on top of an Aida cloth or a linen. And I think there's like maybe some like dish towels that are like that. So
okay. And Candy Kerr says, I use masking tape. Will I be taking it off before framing it?
So yes, you would just cut it off. what is so funny is I'll take these, when I take these to my framer, I take them in my plastic bag that I keep. So like this is how I go to my, they think I'll show up with like 10 things and they're like, the lady's back. Because I take forever and I kind of tear their store apart because I'm so picky about my frames. I'll stay there like an hour and I know I drive them crazy. So I literally walk in like this. I'll take it out. I'll put my frames. I'll put all my things out. And then they'll ask me, can I cut off the edges? And I'm like, yes. Like they think that there's something special about, they're like, can we cut off the excess? And I'm always like, yes. So if you were going to lace the back, you could not do it with the tape on it. If not, you just cut it off.
Okay. And Holly O'Brien's asking, how do you stitch in hand?
I'm going to show next week.
And Just Stucky says, could you give a hint on stitching the boxes on the farm, girl? Like maybe some tips?
The outer border.
Oh, the outer border.
Farm girl. How did you stitch?
Oh, okay, yeah. Let me try to point. We'll try to sorry. I'll try. I did a video on the vintage Christmas that kind of showed this. Of course, my needle's stuck. Sorry. I'll try to point to what I did, or what I did on my version. So do you want to zoom in, Lily?
Yes.
Sorry.
No, you're good.
So
it's slow zoom, sorry guys. It's very dramatic. And okay.
So I would stitch top left, top right, bottom left, bottom right. Top left, top right, bottom left, bottom right. Top left, top right, bottom left, bottom right. And then I would go back up. And I would do it confetti method. So, and we went over confetti method the first week of our FlossTube. I would also pull back, if I had to go back over here, I would drag on the back my threads so that you don't see threads in between. And then I would just go down, and I would just do one stitch at a time, making sure that you don't drag threads over. Now, I know a lot of people on FlossTube, they don't care about their threads coming through. They don't care if their threads like are loose on the end. You do whatever you want. Like if you want to go all the way across, you can do it however you want to do it. It's just red, so I feel like it will show. But I think that's just really a one stitch at a time type thing, and slow and steady.
And Wendy wanted to know, did you see the Ted Bundy tapes?
Yes, I watched that. I binge watched that the very first day it came out. Yeah, I thought that the person who put it together was, I thought it was good. I thought I might be a little conflicted about his reasons to do it, or his reasons why he would seemed a little bit narcissistic to want to be close to somebody like that. But I thought it was good. I didn't think it was great.
She also said he used to sit in my sister's office at the U of Law.
Oh my gosh.
That's terrifying.
That's terrifying, yeah. I mean, there's so many stories about him, like, just, like, yeah. Yeah, complete nut job.
Okay. Okay. And so, sorry, there's a lot. Sia Joy says, I couldn't stop working on my project, so I got a little bit of a head start this week. Can you please tell us exactly where you're going with next week?
Yes. So what I'm going to do this weekend, or today, I'm going to finish I'm going to finish this block, the clothesline, and the fence. Next week is going to be this. The week after is going to be this. And then after that, I can't remember right now. But it will definitely be going up. But, I mean, if you get ahead, you can still hashtag Quilters Cottage Stitch Along. I mean, we're not going to, like, yeah, then we're going to do the flowers, then the cobblestone, and then we'll kind of go up here. But, I mean, you can get ahead. You never know what kind of curveball life is going to hand you. So, you know, might be good to get ahead. But I'm probably going to go ahead and put the white in here and the white in here, just so I've got all the white done. And then, yeah, we'll just be going up from there. And I really like, I will say one thing that I found from watching a lot of FlossTubes, which I've been doing kind of in my life with, and it's not something that I've ever done before, is really just working on a lot of projects at one time, which can be a little bit chaotic. But if you look at a lot of FlossTubers, they do one thing each Monday, one thing each Tuesday, one thing each Wednesday, so they've got like 6 projects going at a time. But it's really good because if you just start and stop this, you might get tired of it in between. But if you throw in some projects in between, it kind of makes it like exciting to go back to it. It's kind of like when you start a project and you're like so excited about it, then you take a break, you go back. So I've been doing that. So you're gonna see like this Friday on my quilting YouTube video, I have like so many things I got done this weekend, and I'm just doing a ton of projects at one time and just doing like a couple hours here, a couple hours there, which is totally outside of my comfort zone. And I kind of like it. I don't love it, but I kind of like it. It's kind of chaotic, just having to go back and forth through a lot of things, but it's been a lot of fun, and I think that it's something that I'm gonna keep doing. I think some people do like 20, like there's a thing called Stitch Mania that starts in May, and we'll talk a lot about it probably in April, but it's a thing that cross stitchers do, that they do one project start every day in May. So they'll start 31 fresh projects, and then what they try to do is throughout the year finish them. That's something I could never do. Like, I don't think I could ever, because that's one thing that I only buy what I absolutely need. I don't ever buy anything just to buy it. Like when I need a spool, I'll just buy one spool. I don't ever buy, like, I don't splurge like that, even in quilting or cross stitch or anything in my life. I guess I'm kind of I really like things neat and tidy, so I don't like to have a lot of stuff everywhere. So doing that Stitch Mania might be a little crazy for me, but it's really cool how people, I love how people do it, and they actually finish the stuff like a year later. So it's really fun to watch on FlossTube some people doing this. So we might do at Fat Quarter Shop FlossTube, we're probably going to do a modified Stitch Mania, which is like half of that. We're not going to start 31, we might start 4. We're going to simplify the Stitch Mania and do it Kimberly's way, because it's, if I started 31 projects, I can't even remember. Like, y'all just asked me about the Yeti when it's coming out. I told you the wrong date. I knew that yesterday. I can't remember my kids' names. I can never remember all those things in the projects. Like, there's just no way. Like, when I get mad at one of my kids, I'm like, oh, dang it, Christopher, Will, Emma, Christopher, whatever your name is. Like, I totally, like, will go through all the names. Like, whatever, just get in the car. Whatever. Like, yeah, it's just, I can't even remember. There's no way I could do 31 projects. I mean, I really respect that people can do that, and I think it's really cool. I just think we're going to do something at Fat Quarter Shop FlossTube that's a little bit different.
We still got a ton of questions coming in, so I'm going to pick a few more. First of all, though, Priscilla and Chelsea say we are both stitching the Quilters Cottage and loving it.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, awesome.
And then, let's see. Anne Lang said, when do you use the railroad method?
So I use the railroad method when I use 2 strands, and I do it a lot. It is a time suck, and so Priscilla and Chelsea, that they're watching, they could probably do 4 projects in the time that I do 1, because I'm a very slow stitcher. And it's also, if it's something that I'm gonna like really hang in my house and treasure forever, I'm gonna take more time and do it. So for this one, I did the railroad method. But when I show you next week the stitch in hand, that's a totally different method that's super fast. You could probably go 4 or 5 times as fast. So it's all really, I mean, there's so many ways to stitch and so many ways to do things. It's kind of whatever, kind of like what I talked about earlier, like whatever kind of mood I'm in. Sometimes I'm hyper, sometimes I'm like totally chill. If I have 5 hours to do something, I'll take my time. If I'm like, oh, I got a live stream tomorrow and I haven't done anything, I'll just whip it out. Kind of just depends.
Okay. And then Tracy Holly was saying, do you always stitch the same direction crosses with each line?
Yes. I always go top left, top right. No. Bottom left, top right, bottom right, top left. And you know, the funny thing is, I've been watching a lot of FlossTubes and they say all those things and I'm like, oh, they were that memorized, and here I am. Like, I have to close my eyes to even come up with what I do. But yes, I do always do that. That is one thing, that's one rule I do follow.
And then Katrina's asking, are we supposed to post on Instagram or Facebook for the Quilters?
Either one. We're looking at all of them. We're picking a different winner each week, and we love seeing, I love seeing what you do. Like, I love how somebody did a white Ada, and then they did a black fence. And then someone, oh my gosh, I love this one. They did, I'm so glad I remembered to mention it. Really unique. It was on Facebook. And what they did is they did a couple of the letters green. So just randomly, there was just a couple letters over here that were green, and I thought that's really original, and I love that they took and did something different, because one thing that Lori Holt, I mean, we're like really good friends, but she's taught me so much about color and saving scraps and all the things that I used to not do. And I used to only, when I first met her, I would just do a kit, and I would do it exactly like the kit, like exactly. And she would always say to me, why are you doing it exactly? Somebody else is going to have that same exact quilt, and there's going to be nothing different about it. And so now I kind of do things different. Like when I do her stitch-alongs, I'll change things up. And just like when I did her Farm Girl Fall, I changed like the heart color. So I think it's good. And then, you know, like anytime you're doing anything, a lot of floss tubers, like Priscilla especially, she changes the colors. You should feel free to change your colors or do anything with it, because you want it to really match your house or your life or your kids' room or whatever you're making it for. And I just love that she put those greens in. So whoever you are, great job. I loved it.
We got a lot of comments saying the green letters are for their last name.
Oh my gosh, awesome. I had no idea. See, I don't read. That's one thing, y'all, I'm horrible. I don't read anything. That's why I can't watch Narcos, because it's all in Spanish, and I don't know Spanish, and I don't have time to read captions. But that I heard is like the best documentary ever, but like, I don't have time for that. I tried to watch it and was like, I can't do this.
Me and Denise have to sit there and translate it for you next time.
Yeah. Okay, so this is a funny story. So I love Gabriel Iglesias. I think I'm saying that right. I think he's hilarious. So I've watched like all his stuff. And his most recent Netflix special came out the other night, and it was so funny, but the last joke was all in Spanish, and I was like, ugh. And he translated the whole show as he went. So I told Lily, I was like, you're going to have to like just tell me this joke, because I don't get it. So she's going to do it one day.
I'm going to translate it for her, guys.
Yeah.
And let's see. We had someone asking what Reddit is.
Reddit. Okay, Reddit is basically for old people. So it is, like, I would consider it like when I was young and AOL chat boards used to be out. It's similar to that. And what I love about it is, this is my motivational speech for today, is in your life, for example, you have to be careful what you're looking at, because if you're looking at Facebook and everyone on there is being negative, you're pulling that negativity into your life. And in Facebook, it's really hard to weed that out. So on Reddit, you can subscribe to the feeds you want to subscribe to. So what do I subscribe to? Cross stitch, quilting, and dogs. And sometimes cats. I don't even own a cat. Because that feed is always positive, fun pictures, and it's a great way, and of course true crime, all the podcasts I listen to, 2020, Dateline, all that. And so it's basically you're controlling. Facebook, it's just whoever. But on Reddit, you're really controlling the feeds that you look at. So I'm looking at documentary type stuff and pretty dog pictures. And I love it. I love it because I can control the feed, and I can take that. I don't know. I feel like Facebook can be very negative. And if you sit on Facebook all day, I think you're just going to become a depressed person sometimes. Because, yeah. Sorry, that's but yeah, Reddit is awesome. I read it every night before I go to bed, but it's a way for me to control what I'm looking at, and a lot of it is pictures of pugs.
Gail Evans says, is Lori going to make a quilt pattern for this design?
No.
And Holly O'Brien.
But let me go back and say this. These are in her book. These are in Farm Girl Vintage. So these are in her book. And this, I don't know, maybe she'll do that. I know she's watching. But these are, the bottom quilt blocks are based on her blocks. So, But there's not going to be a quilt that's like all the ABCs. I mean, she does have all her ABCs in the spelling bee book. But if she did that in a quilt, oh my gosh, it would take a million years to do. And she's working on some other stuff, some really cool stuff right now. We're working on her next book, so y'all are going to love it.
And then Holly O'Brien was wondering how she can find this video later.
On YouTube. So on YouTube, you can just go to Fat Quarter Shop and most recent videos. And we also have a playlist.
Yeah, there's a playlist.
And it's called FlossTube. So you can just go, and we're trying to number them so that we can, like when y'all ask about looping method or color changes, we can try to remember, oh, it was FlossTube this.
Yeah, we're on number 13.
13!
Right.
Lucky number 13. I didn't, hey, on 12, I totally screwed up the whole thing. But today I didn't, so we're good today. I felt like such an idiot last week.
And Gabriel says, I saw Real Housewives of Cross Stitch, stitch in hand, and how come the way they stitch their stitches is different?
So they stitch super fast, and like I say, in quilting or anything, it's all about like what you're comfortable with, and they stitch so fast. It blew my mind. When I watched their video, I literally was like, I am the slowest stitcher ever. But I think it's all just how you learn and like what you're comfortable with. I mean, their stuff is beautiful. Like, it is so beautiful. So I think it's just how your mind works. I'm super, like, I'm a CPA. Y'all probably don't know that. I'm super, like, accounting driven, but I'm very creative at the same time. So my mind is very, like, regimented. So that's why I stitch the way I do. But, like, Priscilla's an artist. Chelsea's probably an artist, too. So they can do that because they can think outside the box more than Kimberly Jolly could. So there's nothing wrong with the way they do it. I would love to go, they're having a retreat, I would love to go to it so I could actually try to learn from them or try to figure out how they do it so I could be a little bit less rigid. But I think it's all about like how you learn, how your mind works, and what you're comfortable with, and doing things your own way. Like, you don't have to stitch the way I do, you don't have to stitch the way Priscilla does or the way Lori does. You can do whatever. Whatever you want to do it. It's your piece. Do however you want.
Alright, and we've had 2 more YouTube members join,
Yay!
Susan Glenn and the Lady Kopek. And then Lori Holt says that if she wants us to have a quilt pattern made out of that, she will do it. Oh. And everyone's telling her yes in the comments. So.
Oh, okay, well then I guess I'll email Sarah. Okay, so I'm not promising it's not coming out before her book. So we're focusing on her book, and then we'll put this on the list for right after her book, and we will let Sarah know today.
Yay!
Lori, you want to email Sarah and tell her?
Yay!
But yes, there you go.
Okay, and then I'm going to do 2 more questions.
Okay.
Harriet says, is there any backstitch in this pattern?
Yeah, so we just did the backstitch. So right here, this is the only backstitch. So there's no backstitching on this part. Well, let me hold this up. So that's the only backstitching is the clothesline. Am I in a good spot?
Yeah.
The clothesline. So there's no backstitching here. And I will say that I don't like backstitching. The clothesline's great. I love that. But like backstitching on top of other stitches is not something that I love. So I generally will pick designers like Lori stuff, of course, but like Country Cottage Needleworks or Tiny Modernist where there's not a lot of back stitches in it, or any funny stitches, because I like to just do beginner, easy stuff. But a lot of people disagreed with me on a video, and they said that backstitch really brings it to life, and I totally agree. I just don't want to do it. So like, I totally agree that it can give it like this other look and can be a great thing. I just am lazy about it. I don't want to do it. And now it's also like an OCD thing. Like I like things to lay perfectly. I feel such like an idiot just like giving y'all all my OCD-ness, but I just don't ever feel like my back stitches are great. Like this one's fine because I'm not on top of other stitches, but when I start getting on top of other stitches, it's just
Oh, there it is. Cute. Okay. And then last question here. Candy Kerr was just asking, is the shipping changing? Everyone's talking about boxes, and I've been getting plastic mailers.
okay, so it just depends. So plastic, it depends. Whatever, we only charge $4.95 shipping or free shipping. So because of that, we mail the cheapest way possible for us so that we can actually like not lose any more money than we already are on shipping. So it's all just random. And what we did was we have literally 60 different ways we mail, 60 different boxes or envelopes or plastic bags or whatever. And we took the four sizes we use the most on things that don't go priority mail. We had those made into colors, and then we're going to expand and we're going to add some more boxes. So it just depends. It's all just the luck of the game. One day you'll get one, sorry. Yeah, it's really one of those things where we can't, like, we have like 60 things, 60 ways we mail. It's crazy.
And I think that's all the...
So awesome. So make sure you check out Friday. I'm going to have a huge, all these quilting things. It's going to be totally awesome. All kinds of new stuff, all kinds of blocks I've made, quilts others have made. Then next week's FlossTube, we are going to go over stitching in hand, and it's going to be more my version. And I would love for you to check out the Real Housewives of Cross Stitch and how they do it. And then you could take a combination of the two of ours and figure out what works best for you guys. And I'm so excited that you watched us. I really appreciate it. I appreciate all my fans everywhere. And thanks for watching. And I will see you guys in 2 days. Bye.